Hello everyone, and welcome back to yet another Anime Villainous how-to video. I am, of course, Chaos in the Sky, and today we're going to be looking at how to play another villain from the Anime Villainous Bloodbath expansion, Chrollo Lucilfer from Hunter x Hunter. Chrollo is the charismatic and clever leader of the Phantom Troop, an organization of renowned thieves and killers behind the massacre of the Kurta clan. Chrollo orchestrates this group in many different heists, claiming all sorts of valuables that they find worth their time. With the new heist set in York New City, however, the Phantom Troop find themselves in the crosshairs of Kurapika, who seeks vengeance for their murder of his family. Because of this, Chrollo must once again lead his Phantom Troop against this new threat as they continue with their usual business. As the head of the Spider, Chrollo must orchestrate the limbs of his organization to perfection. Because of this, his objective in Anime Villainous is to play 8 cards to Hideout using Phantom Troop. This task may sound easy, but it's deceptively difficult, and we're going to start this how-to by going over how so. First of all, let's look at Chrollo's territory. Hideout is his leftmost location, where he must play 8 cards to using Phantom Troop. You may notice that Chrollo's territory breaks a few norms. You can see there are icons at the bottom right of 3 of his locations, all of them except for Hideout. These icons are called assignments, and they aren't just on Chrollo's territory, they're also on all of his allies and items. There's also a bit of text underneath those 3 locations, which says, when playing an ally or item from your hand, the ally or item can only be played to their assigned location. This means that when Chrollo plays an ally or item from his hand, they must go to the matching assignment on the board. Because of this, Chrollo doesn't get to choose where his allies and items go when first playing them, and he must then move them to Hideout for his objective. You'll need to get 8 total cards, whether they're items or allies, to Hideout. While we're still looking at the territory, let's also go over Chrollo's villain ability. After Chrollo moves, you may choose an ally or item at your new location, discard them, then play them to that location for free. This ability is invaluable, as it lets you reuse the on-play abilities of your cards without having to do so from your hand, which would make you play them back to their assigned location. Given his ability in assigned locations, Chrollo's allies and items are very important. Before we get to them though, let's take a look at one of Chrollo's effects, Phantom Troop. Phantom Troop is an effect that when played for the first time your turn, discards all allies and items from your location, and then plays them to your location for free. This is of course the effect mentioned in your objective, and how you'll play 8 cards to Hideout to complete it. As already mentioned, Chrollo has a lot of allies and items with on-plays, so Phantom Troop replaying them can be useful even at locations other than Hideout. As you can imagine, due to Chrollo's ability, he loves getting to replay allies and items for big benefits. An important caveat to keep in mind is how it says if this is the first time you played Phantom Troop this turn, though. There are 2 copies of Phantom Troop in your deck, but if you play 2 of them in one turn, only the first one will work. That means you can't play Phantom Troop twice to try and complete your objective with only 4 cards at Hideout. You'll have to get the full 8 cards there, and then play Phantom Troop to achieve your objective. Now let's actually get into these allies and items. We'll start with the allies assigned to York New City, Chrollo's middle left location. First up we have Finks, who when played lets you draw 3 cards, then discard any number of cards from your hand. Very useful for Chrollo to dig through his deck quickly and get to cards he wants. Next is Illumi, who when played lets you choose a hero. That hero loses 1 strength, and then if that hero is now at 0 strength, you defeat them. Very powerful ability that helps Chrollo keep control of his territory. Third up is Pakanoda, whose ability actually shows another of Chrollo's rather unique mechanics. When Pakanoda is played, you may attach an ally or item at Chrollo's location to Chrollo. You'll be seeing a few more cards that allow Chrollo to attach his allies or items to himself as we go further into the deck. This is a great asset for him getting allies and items to Hideout, as he can attach them to himself, then move to Hideout and either use his ability, as the ally or item is now at the location he moved to, or Phantom Troop to essentially drop off that ally or item where he now wants them to be. Always keep in mind that if an ally or item is attached to Chrollo, that ally or item is now at Chrollo's location, and when he moves to another location, that means they're at the new location as well. After Pakanoda, we have Nobunaga, who when played lets Chrollo find Bloodbath, pay its cost, and play it. Bloodbath isn't just the expansion name, it's also one of Chrollo's effects, which we'll get to later in the video. Just know that Nobunaga can allow Chrollo to play it on demand essentially, which can be a big help. Lastly, we have Hisoka, who when played lets you choose a card from your discard pile and put it into your hand. Always a good ability to be able to get back specific cards you want when you want them, especially when you need Phantom Troop for your objective. Hisoka is also the strongest ally at 4 strength, and with only 2 cost, he can be great for dealing with heroes. That's everyone assigned to York New City. Next we'll go over the underground auction assignments, Chrollo's middle right location. Let's start with Coludo, who when played lets you choose a hero at his location. That hero then loses 2 strength. Not as versatile as Illumi's strength loss ability, which can hit anywhere and even defeat a hero, but 2 strength is very significant, especially when Chrollo himself has 2 strength, so it can take down a hero very quickly. Following Chrollo, we have Cortopi, whose ability is similar to Pakanota. When Cortopi is played, you may attach an ally or item at a location adjacent to Cortopi to Chrollo. This is different from how Pakanota attaches, giving Chrollo more options on how to attach allies and items. Since Cortopi starts at auction as well, he can nab some allies or items at the far right location, a big help for Chrollo. After Cortopi is Shalnark, who when played lets you discard an ally or item from a location adjacent to him, then play that ally or item to Shalnark's location for free. This is arguably one of Chrollo's favorite allies, as it can not only move allies and items closer to hideout, it also replays them, triggering their on-plays again. A great way for Chrollo to push his objective progress, among other things. The last ally at Underground Auction is Machi, who when played has each ally at her location gain 1 strength. This of course includes Machi herself, a really good way for Chrollo to pump up some other allies to deal with heroes. We still have 1 card left with the Underground Auction assignment, but this one is an item, Greed Island. When Greed Island is played, you may choose a card from your deck and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. An incredible way for Chrollo to get specific cards when he wants them, and of course with his ability or other cards like Phantom Troop and Shalnark, he can make repeated use of it. Between Greed Island and Hisoka, Chrollo can have access to his entire deck at a moment's notice. That's everything assigned to Underground Auction. Now we're going to look at the last one, the cards assigned to Outskirts, Chrollo's rightmost location. Since we just did Greed Island, let's start with Scarlet Eyes, Chrollo's only other item. When Scarlet Eyes is played, Chrollo gains 2 power. They do, however, cost 2 power as well, so it's really a net gain of 0, at least on the first play. Whenever you trigger the eyes again with Chrollo's ability, Phantom Troop, or Shalnark, they give you another 2 power, so it's only net gains from there on. The rest of the assigned cards are allies, so let's look at Bonolanov, who when played lets you choose an ally to gain 1 strength. Unlike Machi, who boosts all allies at her location, even herself, Bonolanov only gets to pick 1 specific ally, which could also be himself. The trade-off here is that he has 2 strength as opposed to Machi's 1, and he can hit an ally at any location, not just his own. Next is Franklin, who when played lets you perform a play-a-card action. A great way for Chrollo to get more cards in play quickly, as he'll need a lot to both do his objective and control his territory. Franklin also starts at Outskirts as we know, which is Chrollo's bottom fate, but it lacks a bottom play-a-card, so Franklin can really strengthen that location should it be covered. Shizuku is next, who when played lets you perform a move action. When your objective is to move 8 cards into 1 location, an extra move goes a long way in helping that, especially when you can trigger her multiple times. After Shizuku is Uvagin. Uvagin? I could not find a video clip to tell me how to say this name. I'm trying my best. He is the only ally without an on-play ability. Instead, his ability is that when he's used to defeat a hero, he isn't discarded. At 3 strength, and with strength boosters like Machi available, this makes him a great asset for Chrollo when it comes to dealing with heroes, especially since he doesn't want to be losing many allies to do it. The final ally is the most expensive, Phaeton. When Phaeton is played, you may move him to any location. This essentially means that even though you have to play him to Outskirts, he can go straight to Hideout, or anywhere else for that matter. Great when you just need 1 more card at Hideout for your objective. That's all the allies and items covered, but we still have a few more cards in Chrollo's villain deck to go over. Let's look at his form first, Conductor of Death. With Conductor of Death, whenever you move to a location that has an ally, you may attach an ally at your new location to yourself. This is another way Chrollo can get allies on himself quickly, making it easy to then get them to Hideout later. Conductor of Death is discarded if, before you move, there's a hero at your location. So it's very easy for an opponent to get Chrollo out of this form, and it can be a bit difficult for Chrollo to get out of it himself. But racking up ally attachments can go a long way for your objective, even though Chrollo doesn't love losing his base ability. Now let's look at Chrollo's last 2 effects, Bloodbath and Spider's Limbs. Spider's Limbs is also about attaching. As when played, it lets you attach an ally or item at your location or an adjacent location to Chrollo. Again, attaching for Chrollo is very useful, so Spider's Limbs is a great way to speed up getting cards to Hideout. The other effect is Bloodbath, which you may recall we mentioned way back with Nobunaga. When you play Bloodbath, you get to perform a Vanquish action. It does have an extra caveat, however, which is that attached allies used in this Vanquish are not discarded, and then you unattach them from Chrollo. This gets the allies off of Chrollo, which can set you back a bit, but in exchange for defeating a hero without having to discard them. It's very often worth it. It's also a card that you can instantly play by using Nobunaga, as mentioned earlier. So with him in play, it's an on-demand Vanquish, whether you use attached allies or not. All that remains now is Chrollo's schemes, which he has 5 of. We're going to look at a specific one first, which is Requiem, as it's the central piece for all the others. Requiem triggers when the targeted player triggers a scheme. Once triggered, it lets Chrollo play Requiem for free. Then he may choose a scheme from his deck or discard pile, pay its cost, then play it and shuffle his deck. This is a scheme that once played will always be in play, as it plays itself once it's triggered. So long as Chrollo has the power, he'll then be able to play another scheme alongside Requiem. Since Requiem triggers whenever a scheme is triggered, meaning the other ones that Chrollo has played in most cases, it creates a loop, essentially, where Chrollo gets to keep playing his schemes. He can keep replaying the same one, or swap to a different one if he wants to try and trigger something else. It's a very strong tool that can help Chrollo progress his game plan a lot, but of course that all depends on what schemes you can play with Requiem, as it doesn't do much on its own. So let's look at what each of Chrollo's 4 other schemes can do. All 4 of these schemes cost 1, by the way, so to play one of them when Requiem triggers, it'll cost you 1 power. Speaking of power, first is Stolen Ability. This scheme triggers when the targeted player ends their turn with more power than Chrollo. Chrollo then gains 2 power. Chrollo likes a bit of extra power gain, and Stolen Ability is the only scheme that guarantees you can use Requiem once triggered. It gives you the 2 power before you have to pay for Requiem playing another scheme, which means you'll be able to afford playing it, even if it's Stolen Ability again. Next is Spider's Head, which triggers when the targeted player plays a card with a cost of 2 or more. This then lets Chrollo move an ally or item to an adjacent location. Chrollo's whole game plan is to get a bunch of allies and items to hide out, so any extra moves he can get, he'll gladly take. Body Double is the next scheme, and it triggers when the targeted player reveals cards from a deck. A very common trigger, as it happens whenever the opponent fates someone. Once triggered, it lets Chrollo choose a card from his discard pile and shuffle it back into his deck. Not as direct as Hisoka's ability, but Chrollo has a lot of allies to choose from on replays, so having another discard retriever can be a big help, especially if it's Hisoka he's trying to get back. Finally is Binding Loyalty, which triggers when the targeted player discards an ally from their hand or territory. This lets Chrollo then choose an ally from his deck or discard pile, put them into his hand, and shuffle his deck. An instant way to get the exact ally Chrollo wants, which with so many options, can be great to have. That's the villain deck covered, so now we're on to the Fate deck, and we're going to start with Chrollo's biggest obstacle, Kurapika. Kurapika is a 5-strength hero, a number Chrollo does not like to deal with, and his ability is that the cost for Chrollo to play effects is increased by 1 power. This makes it a lot harder for Chrollo to do a lot of his usual tricks to control his allies and territory, so he'll want to get rid of Kurapika very quickly. After Kurapika, we have the 2 4-strength heroes, Killua and Gon. Killua makes it where Chrollo cannot attach or move unattached allies or items from Killua's location. This is of course a big deal, as Chrollo needs to get a bunch of cards to hide out, and not being able to even attach allies at Killua's location will seriously slow him down. While Killua stops allies from going anywhere, Gon, on the other hand, just gets rid of them entirely. When Gon is played, the Fader gets to discard an ally from a location adjacent to him. This means Gon has a lot of options when getting rid of an ally, and he has 4 strength on top of it, making it hard to get rid of him. Next, we have 3 3-strength heroes, Zeno, Leorio, and Silva. When Leorio is played, the one playing him can move an unattached ally to his location. This of course sucks for Chrollo, as it will almost always take an ally away from hideout and back over to outskirts or maybe underground auction, requiring Chrollo to move them a few times again, or attach them. Silva is a hero that when played discards an ally from his location. He's a bit weaker than Gon and doesn't have as many options for where he can be placed, since the ally must be at his location, but an ally gone is a setback for Chrollo, no matter what. Then there's Zeno, who cannot be defeated in a vanquish action. This means the only way to defeat him is either to clash with him, which requires making him lose at least 1 strength first since Chrollo has 2 strength, or to defeat him with Illumi's ability, which requires bringing him down by 3 strength so he's at 0. It'll be annoying to do no matter which route you take. There are 2 heroes left, both with 2 strength, Neon and Melody. Neon makes it where you ignore Chrollo's villain ability. Chrollo loves that ability like it were his own child, and he hates not having it, so you'll have to take Neon out ASAP, even if you just go and clash with her. Melody's ability is that when played, the one playing her discards an item from her location. The only items are Greed Island and Scarlet Eyes, but they are real good items, and Chrollo will hate having to get them back and play them again rather than having them on demand. That's all the heroes. Next up are effects, starting with Rogue Limb and Hatred. Rogue Limb lets the Fader choose an ally. If that ally is attached, they get unattached. Then that ally becomes a hero at the top of Chrollo's territory, and their ability is ignored. Another card that essentially gets rid of an ally, turning them into a hero even, which means Chrollo has to defeat them to get them back into his discard and eventually be able to replay them. Another hassle that can really easily set him back. Hatred is an effect that lets the one playing it choose and play a hero from Chrollo's Fate discard pile. A classic Fate effect that doesn't need much explanation. It lets the opponent replay an annoying hero, or one they just happened to pass up for a different Fate earlier. Two effects are left, Judgment Chain and Crush the Spider. Crush the Spider just has Chrollo lose 2 power. Not very damaging, but Chrollo has a lot of cards to play, and especially if Karapika is out, that power loss can be surprisingly annoying for him. Judgment Chain has the one playing it move an unattached ally or hero to an adjacent location, then they may move an unattached ally or hero to an adjacent location again. This can send one ally way back on progress to hideout, or it can send back 2 just a little bit. It can even put a hero in a bit more of an annoying spot. It's very versatile and irritating for Chrollo. Lastly, we have the challenge, Justice. After Chrollo plays an ally or item, you move them one location toward outskirts. That's the opposite direction Chrollo wants them to go, so obviously, not great. This triggers whether he plays them from his hand, with his ability, or with Shalnark, so it's a setback in every situation. To discard Justice during his turn, Chrollo can discard 2 allies from his location. Ally loss always hurts, as it gives Chrollo less pieces for his objective and to use for abilities. Regardless, it's often worth it if it means you no longer have to deal with Justice. And with that, we've reached the end of Chrollo's how-to. As the leader of the Phantom Troop, you'll have to orchestrate your fellow troop members flawlessly to achieve your goals and handle any heroes in your way, leading to achieving the Spider's goals. If you have any questions about Chrollo, leave a comment below and I'll do my best to answer. Also look at the description for the playlist to see all the other Anime Villainous how-to videos so you can learn about any other characters that interest you. Thanks for watching the video, and I hope to see you again for more Anime Villainous videos in the future. Until then, farewell.